street, they were completely rammed. They were filled up to the gunnels, they were queuing down the street. They said, you should have been here last week. I swear, you should have been here last week. Oh yeah, you should have been here last week.
I'm very happy to go back and say that I've got no underwear on if you want.
It's actually, especially in that voice as well, it sounds...
No, I sound like, hello everyone, I've been down the docks till the early hours.
And now I've got no underwear on.
Welcome to OnlyFans. Okay, so welcome to this new edition of You Should Have Been Here Last Week, a podcast about the comedy industry, a quick peek behind the comedy curtain, run by myself, Steve Gribbin, and Paul Ricketts. And this week's guest, we have comedian, activist, presenter, journalist, actor, columnist, possessor of an honorary doctorate, author, and a supporter of a lower league football team, the fantastic, the one and only Mr. Mark Thomas. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you guys? Lovely to see you, by the way.
I just want to ask the first question, really. What do you think your earliest comedy influences, the things that made you want to be a comedian?
Oh, well, the first stand-up I ever saw was Tommy Trinder. I saw Tommy Trinder, who's an old musical comic, who was kind of like akin to Max Miller. Max Miller wouldn't have him on the bill because he was like a Cockney chappie, and Miller thought, no, we can't have too many of them around. It's like confusing me and Mark Steele. So there was a Trinder-Miller playoff, right? And so Miller was very, very popular. Miller was just absolutely, he was king of the of musicals. Tommy Trinder, he used to be, he was chairman of Fulham, actually. And he used to have a little trilby hat, and his catchphrase was, you lucky people. And my dad took me to see him perform Battersea Town Hall. And it was, this was before it was an art centre. It was like a Battersea Town Hall. And it was a variety bill. So there was a kind of like an early version of the Roly Polies, which was Les Dawson's dance troupe. So a mixed-sized dance group. There was a glockenspiel player who was very, very good. There was a magician, and there was Tommy Trinder.
Now, how old was he at that point? I mean, he must have been knocking on a bit, was he?
He was quite old. I was 16, and he was in his 80s or late 70s, and
wow.
The old dears had to get up and go out to catch their last bus home, and he was just kept on going for an hour, and so I think I got my sense of timing from Tommy Trinder. He was in an hour. And that was the first stand-up. It wasn't actually the first comic I saw. By the way, if you look at Tommy Trinder online, there are these amazing clips of him performing in the streets to troops in Italy and improvising with what's going on around him. It is absolutely beautiful, and you should check it out. The first comedian I suppose I saw live was Spike Milligan, and I went to see him perform in Treasure Island at the Mermaid Theatre in London. It was a school trip, and I think I must have been about 9, and he was playing Ben Gunn, so he came with this mad cheese, he was just absolutely mesmeric. He sort of just filled the stage. No one could go near him. He was amazing.
Brilliant. And that sort of, even then, did that plant the seeds in your mind that you wanted to be a comedian?
Yeah. I mean, I think it did. I mean, I've told this story before, but right, my dad was quite the fighter and quite the robust human being, quite the sort of like the paternal patriarch. And he was a self-employed builder. He used to finish his work and he used to have a bath in the morning. So he kept his dirty work clothes on for the evening. He had a favourite leather armchair, but he didn't want to get his work clothes on the armchair. So literally he would unbuckle his belt and drop his trousers and sit in his leather armchair in his long johns, I promise. And we would be laughing at Steptoe and Son for being common, right? And Steptoe and Son was really one of the favourite things. Comedy was the one place where you could be free. It's where everyone could laugh and express themselves in a house that was walking on eggshells. So for me, comedy was really important. And what was interesting, the first time I felt the power of a gag, and what it was as a self-employed builder, people used to come and speak to you after tea. Do you know what I mean? Like neighbours would come on the doorstep. You'd wait till everyone had had their tea. Then about 7 o'clock, sort of 7:15, neighbours would ring the doorbell and they'd discuss work on the doorstep that needed to be done. And my dad would have a chat with them and talk about what, all of that. Kids were never allowed on the doorstep. You couldn't go on the doorstep while they were talking about work. Me and my dad watching Steptoe and Son. And there was a joke. Two things you need to know about this joke. One is VAT had just been introduced. Two, the word totter. Do you know the word totter?
Yeah.
A totter, someone who collects scrap metal or picks up scrap metal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We used to use it because my dad was a totter. He used to pick up any bits of copper wire and nails and anything, put them in bags. Once every 6 months, we used to go down to the scrapyard, which was in Chelsea Harbour. Where Chelsea Harbour is, there was this massive scrapyard, right? A huge. Anyway, I remember watching Steptoe and Son. He goes, "When's he coming to visit us? Who are you on about?" The Prime Minister. What? VAT? What's that got to do with it? Visiting all totters. Now, a good topical gag, right? My dad had left the room, so he didn't hear it. So I ran to the doorstep, barged past my dad and goes, "When's he going to visit us?" And Jim Darby was the neighbour who was on the doorstep talking. And Jim goes, "What are you on about, boy?" And I said, "The Prime Minister." He said, "What?" I said, "VAT." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Visiting all totters." And they laughed. And Jim Darby goes, "You got the right one here, Colin." And my dad held my hand and let me stay on the doorstep.
Oh my God. That is truly the power of comedy, isn't it?
The power of a gag.
Wow.
I knew I wanted to be a comic.
Yeah.
From the age of 16, I was telling people I'm going to be a comedian.
What did they say to that then?
I think it varied from good luck to you got the face for it.
Exactly. I mean, you talked about that. One of the major influences on you is Bertolt Brecht, wasn't it? You were you saw that play and stuff. Yeah.
I was 16 and I saw Caucasian Chalk Circle, and I think it was a stunning moment. It was an absolute stunning moment, and it hit me like I was profoundly sort of like struck by this. Caucasian Chalk Circle, which is a beautiful story, and it starts with an argument over who should get land. And it was whether it should go to dairy farmers or whether it should go to vegetable farmers or what have you, or cheese makers or the progressive new farmers. And actually you think, oh no, it's the cheese makers, they own the land, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, you have this play. Beautiful play, which is almost like, the Sword of Solomon in its judgment, the Caucasian Chalk Circle, where the person who loves the child most drags it from the circle and the person who does can't. And, it's a beautiful play. It's an amazing play. And it's like traveling through a sort of like a hellscape of war and what happens to it. And at the end of it, they come back to this scene and go, so, the mother who wasn't the real mother but loved the child most gets the child, just as the people who going to produce more for the people should get the land, which is the new farmers and not the people who held on to it at the end. And I was absolutely gobsmacked. See this amazing play, hear an argument, and have my mind changed at the end of it. And actually, the idea that you could go into a theatre and have your mind changed is, I think, just absolutely remarkable. And it's something that really stayed with me. The idea that you can change things, you can influence things. Yeah. I've seen stuff that has made me just go, oh my God, there's a beautiful play by that was made in association with Northern Stage in Newcastle called Key Change. And it's about that's the name of the group. They do verbatim plays with women in prison, and it's one of the most incredible things, because you go in there and it opens your eyes and allows you empathy and understanding for a situation that you know nothing of, and that's a brilliant thing.
It is a brilliant thing. Do you know that, by the way, me and Brian, my ex-partner's good video, we always joked that we met in one of the pauses during a Pinter play, which is actually true because we did a Harold Pinter play at Goldsmiths College. And many, many years later, we were doing a benefit at the Duke of York Theatre, and I idolised Harold Pinter. But he came into the dressing room, and we were in the dressing room that he was meant to have. And the first thing he said to me was, "Get out of my dressing room, you cunt." I was like, "But Mr. Pinter," he went, "Get out."
Brilliant.
And I was just like, I was stunned, because he's just very angry.
I was doing a storytelling show at the Leicester Square Theatre,
Yeah.
right, which is used to be called the Notre Dame Hall, which is where the Sex Pistols played. And
I didn't realise that.
Yeah, if you go in there now, it looks that kind of like 1950s kind of Soho chic. You expect to see Dudley Moore and Peter Cook in the corner with a couple of strippers just chatting about their work prospect. It's got a lovely feel to it. But I was doing a storytelling show there, and I'd got there early because I was very nervous. There was a whole load of people on the bill, including Harry Shearer and his partner. Harry Shearer being Spinal Tap. And being, the voice of Mr. Burns. So what was amazing, I was like really excited. But anyway, I went round to there's two sets of dressing rooms on either side of the stage, right? Backstage. One is very small with a tiny little cubicle for toilet and for sink. The other is smaller, right, with no facilities. So I was put in the smallest one, right? But I was there early and I thought, I really need to relieve myself in a profound way. So I thought I'll use the other dressing room, and it's got Harry Shearer written, big thing on it. And I knocked and no one was in. I thought, fuck it, I'm really early, I'll use it. So I went into this tiny dressing room with the tiny toilet, had just finished the cleaning process when I heard them coming to the dressing room. Literally, they are standing outside the door. The fucking room is so small, right, that you can't go in the fucking toilets, right, with a full bowl and unclean hands. And I think, and I've got Harry Shearer and his wife about, a foot away from me, right? They don't know that I'm in there. And I quickly wash my hands and flush the toilet and walk out and say, I'm terribly sorry. There was no toilet facilities over there. I am on the bill. I'm not a random stranger. I am so sorry. And Harry Shearer's partner just went, home invasion.
Oh, my God.
So I was just thinking what I would have done in that situation was walk out and go, well, obviously, I've fixed it now, so don't worry about it.
Hey, Harry, I'd leave it a bit.
Yeah.
I'm the comedy plumber.
Let's quickly move on to the early days of the sort of alternative comedy circuit when you started off. I mean, it was quite an exciting time. What was your first ever proper live comedy gig?
My first gig was an open spot at the White Lion in Putney.
Yes.
Which was opposite St Mary's Church, and St Mary's Church, but it's where they had the Putney debates with Oliver Cromwell and the Levellers arguing for universal suffrage. A really significant moment in English history, and Cromwell is a bourgeois fuck. So that was opposite there, and I remember who was on the bill. John Lenihan was the compere, and Andy Johnson was on the bill as well. And Andy Johnson, as you may remember, was Cyril the Tortoise. And
yes, I'd forgotten that, yes.
What he used to do was impersonate tortoises for 20 minutes. If he was booked for an extended set, he would put a couple of tea strainers over his eye and do a B for 10 as a filler. And he used to have these tea strainers over his eyes. And he used to do the B as a Geordie going, it's not all hanging around the cake shop with a what. But he used to do the tortoise, and I don't know if you can remember, Steve, he used to purse his lips back and he used to stick his fucking tongue out and he used to do a tortoise skiing, and he'd put a ski hat on and goggles and go down with his teeth like that and his mouth like that, and bits of lettuce flying behind him, and he was great. And Steve Brown, the musician, was on.
Oh, I remember Steve Brown.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
of course. Yeah.
We used to go down to this jazz pub in Thornton Heath called the Lord Napier, and it was like a family thing. Everyone turned up. You went there Sunday. Everyone drank Ram and Specials, which was a young special. It was the special bitter mixed with Ramrod, which was a brown ale, and it had a bit of a punch to it. And so I was pissed when I went on stage, which was an early lesson, and I died on my arse.
Wow.
I died on my arse. And what was lovely was years later, I'm not going to mention the performer's name, but I will mention that one performer had a horrible time at the Comedy Store, and ended up getting his wallet out in front of the audience.
I know who you mean.
Showing them the money and going, I don't need you. I don't need you. Right? And it was awful. And it was the late show at the Comedy Store.
Oh.
And I was on afterwards with John Lenihan, who had compared me on that very first gig.
Yeah.
And it was awful. The audience were just like, It was so terrible. And I was standing there going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And John just put his hand on me and just said, don't worry, you're great. All you have to do is be half decent and they will love you after seeing that.
Yeah.
And I walked on. And it was great.
That's another thing we've been talking with a lot of comedians about, the weird and strange acts that were around in the early to mid 80s that you just, I mean, there's a certain element of them still going somewhere, but there were so many of them, like the Iceman.
I loved it. The Iceman is now an artist. As you know, the Iceman used to try and melt a block of ice in 20 minutes. Body heat, WD-40, a file, a blowtorch. It was a homage to the myth of Sisyphus. It was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I used to love him, but he's now working as an artist. And my partner gave me one of his paintings for a birthday present. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's really, you should check his work out. It's really good.
Oh, great. I will. And by the way, we talking about strange acts. Remember Chris Luby?
Yeah.
Yeah. He got one of the best heckles ever because he used to go, and now,
there you go.
Yeah. He goes, and now this is my impression of, I don't know the names of the aircraft, an AC 65 252. And he did it. And somebody in the audience went, no, mate, that's not an AC 65 DC2. That's an AC 65 DC1. And he went fucking mad. You don't know your fucking aircraft. The bloke, it's brilliant.
Right, mate. I love all of that. I love like Chris Luby. My favourite moment of Chris Luby, apart from seeing him impersonate the band of the Coldstream Guards in front of the Glastonbury audience, the Peace Festival. My favourite moment was the Malcolm where you were at the funeral. With Malcolm's funeral, where he got up in the pulpit and he wasn't supposed to be there, and he had tears in his eyes, and he said, "I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to do it for the big fella." A Spitfire barrel roll.
Oh my God!
Right, so you had Chris Luby. Right, you had Steve Murray, the teddy bear killer. Do you remember?
Oh, he was great. Yeah,
he was amazing, and he used to come out with that little squirrel, that fluffy squirrel. Look at this! Look at this! They sell this to children, and he had got a flip knife in the tail. That
I saw some people get really upset once with him and chase him out the building because he kept going. It's not fucking real. It's not a real teddy bear. And then he'd be cruel to the teddy bear and people get really upset.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was the teddy bear torturer. He used to strap little Ted to a record deck, turn it up so it faced the audience, put it on 45 or 33 and then go, the wheel of death, and throw and sometimes if he got pissed off, he'd turn it up to 78. Go, bah! So he was brilliant. There was an act. It was Malcolm Hardy was involved in it. What happened was during one Edinburgh, there was the military coup in the former Soviet Union, and and Gorbachev had been kidnapped and had gone missing. And Malcolm knew a Gorbachev impersonator, flew him up, and spent the whole day walking around venue. He goes, "It's all right, we found him. He's here." Gorbachev. It's Gorbachev. Right?
Hello, everybody.
But all he could say was "Das Vidania." Like that's. But he did have like the gravy stain on his head. You know?
Oh
what I mean?
my God,
So
that is incredible.
And the thing
Brilliant.
was, this bloke, if you got him, I saw him perform, right? All he could say was "Das Vidania," and so you'd have the big ba 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 ba, big fucking military music, and on where he would come, "Das Vidania," and then he would sit down in a chair and sing Elvis Presley's "I'll See You Friday," and the reason was. Right, the reason was he was originally an Elvis impersonator, and then he'd lost his hair and had a stroke, so he couldn't stand properly. But all he knew in Russian was "Das Vidanya." So he'd come in, go "Das Vidanya," sit down, "I'll see you Friday," and it was just like one of the most bizarre acts. There were lots of, like Woody Bot Muddy, who
yeah.
Yes, he would be. We get all the records or the vinyl. Shall we play it? It's a nailing or a saving, right? And if you like the record, you cheer for it, and if you didn't, he'd nail it to a bit of wood. Now there would be vinyl junkies going, "Oh my God!" You know.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine the hipsters being like?
Well, he started doing it with CDs, and it just didn't translate as well.
No.
People don't care about CDs.
Yeah. No, he originally started with a cassette tape, and it never worked. I remember seeing Andrew Bailey Podomofsky talking of acts that weren't quite straight when he used to. When he was performing in Hampstead, he climbed out of a balcony window. It was the first floor above a pub, and he climbed out of a balcony window, leaving the window shuttering and slamming in the breeze, and then appeared at the back of the room through another balcony window, and he leapt from one to the other to climb in at the back in full Podomofsky gear.
Holy shit! Wow. Okay, they were amazing times. I mean, but you've now recently, this is a question we wanted to ask. You've come back as you're performing more on the circuit. I mean, how are you finding it, the comedy circuit of 2024? I mean, what's the major differences, do you think, between when the last time you were here and now?
Well, the major differences, I think, the level of skill that new comics have is really high.
Yeah.
When I remember starting out, people were bumbling their way through it. So that's the level of skill that new comics have is absolutely amazing. The comics work in the room is dull as shit. It drives me fucking nuts. Where are you from? What do you do? Are you with this person? I'm here for a joke, not to fill in a census, you cunt. Do you know what I mean? It drives me fucking nuts. No, it just and people don't know how to do it as well, because there's a gentleness to this. Do you know what I mean? You need gentleness and you need wit.
Yeah.
So and there are comics going, I must get used to handling the audience. So you get what we used to do was, if you were starting out, you'd try and get a club that you could run so you could have a weekly gig and you'd compare, right? And that's what people are still doing. And great, it's a good way of doing it. But you've got to have some jokes. You've got nothing substitutes jokes, right? And I think there's an interesting thing. The audience think they're in the moment because they're seeing something special.
Yeah.
But it's being videoed. And it'll end up going on TikTok. So several things happen as a consequence of that. One is you're not in the moment. You're actually doing something for posterity that is going to be used to. So you're actually looking forward to it, finding that bit that you can use.
Yeah.
The other thing is the fact that actually you start to build up an audience that expect that.
Yeah.
And actually, because there's so many comics on the circuit, so many, that it means you have to fight to get your voice heard above the crowd. And TikTok and those little clip things is one way of doing it.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts I hate it. It sets up bad precedents. You want to, if you're comparing, the whole point is to introduce the acts, to get the audience right for the acts, to get everyone ready to listen to comedy, right? Not to find a bit for your shitty TikTok fucking thing, right?
Mm.
So I think it undermines what goes on. I think also what happens is with the sort of like plethora of performers and channels and platforms that people can appear and see comedy, um, especially with Live at the Apollo and things like that, people are turning up because they've seen things on telly and they know what they want to see. So there's a kind of decline in a culture of curiosity for going to see things for the sake of seeing something that you might not have seen. That so there's an idea that you know what you want, you're going to see what you want, but you're not quite sure what it is. But when someone does something different, well, no, you didn't want that.
You didn't expect it. It's I think culturally there's a mistrust of randomness. Even if you talk about dating, no one's going to meet some random bloke in a pub anymore. They've got to have check them out on their phone, see at least a couple of pictures of them on holiday wearing swimwear before they make any decision.
You're very precise in what you want from your man.
He likes it with no underwear either.
Well, you're in luck.
I mean, on the positive side, there's some positive aspect to it.
I mean, I think the standard of new comics is really good.
Yeah.
I mean, what I'm commenting on is that seeing the picture.
Sure.
What it does is for years there has been a sort of movement away from variety and from the sort of slight madness that we knew to stand up. So stand up. A lot of people have been on courses, so you can see they kind of grab the audience's attention within the first 30 seconds, establish yourself, who you are, what your voice, all of that. And it's kind of like, oh, just fuck about, they'll get to know you, So that thing is kind of slightly negative. The positive is the standard of comics and the joy with which they all attack it. And actually, I love that. I did a gig that was in Harrow, which no one gets paid for. It's a fucking free gig. And I didn't quite know when I was booked to do it. And they're saying, we've put your socials up. I'm going, I haven't even got any socials. What the fuck are you on about? So, and it was interesting because it was free, it actually meant the audience was slightly more open-minded. And that was fascinating, seeing that. But I mean, there are gigs all over the place. And I mean, I've had so many rows, Steve, I promise you. Right? I was in, also, this is the other thing that's changed, is my hearing's gone. And I forgot to put my hearing aids in the other day. Right? This is why I love gigging with Jeff Innocent, because he needs hearing aids. And if I'm in the dressing room with him, I know at least one of us has got a spare battery. I'm doing this gig up in Congleton. Nice crowd. Most of them are there to see me. Small group of people in trackies over on one side. And I started out by, this bloke just went, I'm not interested in politics, mate. And I just jumped in and just really fucking tumbled around with him. And we had a great time. And then I carried on. And it's quite a low room. And I was holding on to a fucking girder and the mic with one hand and doing proper fucking Henry Rawlins at him, And this bloke got up and started to walk out. And I said, where are you going? And I thought he said, you're shit, mate. I can't lie. And he walked out. And so I was like, oh, okay. And I took a deep breath and I sort of like did a quick quip, carried on, right? He walked back in and I said, what the fuck are you doing? You've told me I'm shit. You fuck off out of it. And I lost my shit completely, right? Actually, what he had said was, I'm going for a shit. Now, actually, that is still quite an alarming heckle.
Yeah.
It is actually
a group of complete strangers at a comedy night that you wish to vacate your bowels.
Well, you moved him in a way that you just didn't expect. I mean, obviously, that is the effect of your comedy.
I mean, it is, but it's also part of me felt like fucking hitting him and going, did you not go before you came out?
Yes, should have gone before you came out. I know Harry Shearer's dressing room's free. You can have a shit in there.
But this was the thing, though, right? So the audience are coming up to me, and I'm going, "Why didn't you tell me?" And they said, "Oh, well, we just thought it was quite funny." And so I'm thinking, okay, the next night will be fine. I walk on stage at Bury, start going, here we go. It's the election day in Bury in Manchester,
Yeah.
right? And I'm going, yeah. And half the crowd are going, yeah. And then it becomes apparent because I start taking the piss out of the tourists, obviously. And there's a couple of people go, who did you vote for then? And I said, the Green Party. And one bloke went, what a waste of a vote. I said, no, it's only a waste of a vote if you believe in a binary system. Actually, what you're doing is building a campaign and expressing your opinion. In a democracy, what you do is you don't vote for the winning party because that's not democratic. That's just following a crowd. What you do is you express your political opinion and just nicely kind of, right? Bit later on, I mentioned that Trump has actually said he is considering banning contraception, right?
Wow.
And this woman just went, bullshit. And I said, I went into the audience and sat down next to her and said, right, you said bullshit. Why is it? Because you think the idea is bullshit? She goes, no, the story's bullshit. I'm a Trump supporter and all media is lies. And I said, well, all media is lies. She said, yes, all media is lies. I said, well, tomorrow morning when you wake up and they have the announce the results of the election, that didn't happen. That's just false. The election never occurred. It's just a group of actors who are employed by some serious dark forces of the deep state to pretend that we're having a democratic election. And she was just like, bullshit. And anyway, it just went completely fucking mad. And I ended up having a vote with the audience over who believed that COVID-19 actually existed and who didn't. And it was the most bizarre fucking thing. And you think, in Bury. Also, Steve, what I've been telling people now is that England have to win the Euros.
Now you tell me.
England have to win the Euros, and I'll tell you why. It's because the last time we won anything was 1966 under Harold Wilson. And now we can say to people, the Tories are bad for football. You can't.
Absolutely, yeah.
Did you see Richie Sunak trying to play football at the start of the campaign?
Oh, man.
I think all he can really do is get into a sedan chair. I think that's all he can do. He's capable of doing. Any other practical thing he can't actually do. You know what I mean? It's like trying to use a contactless card where he's walking around a fucking petrol station just touching random things. It's like he's fucking over a bottle of Duckham's.
Yeah. just going up to random people going, do you run your own business? Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Political comedy and satire is pretty much middle class and upper middle class, even upper class. And yet you're one of the few that sort of broke through.
I think some things have changed and some things haven't. I think what's really interesting on the circuit is actually there's so many working class voices coming through, and this is one of the great positive things that has happened on the circuit. Steve, you remember when we started? It was mainly white blokes.
It
right?
was.
Mainly four white blokes, and maybe you dragged along Hattie Hayridge or Felix Dexter, and you describe it as a diverse bill. Now that's changed. You've got all sorts of people there. You've got black and brown people. You've got gay and trans people. You've got women. It's absolutely amazing to see that. You've got people with disabilities on stage, and that wouldn't have happened, right, 40 years ago. You wouldn't have seen that. And so that's a really positive change. And politically, there are a few. I think what's happened is people have become much more obsessed with describing their own personal politics rather than talking about politics in a wider spectrum. And that has dominated. The personal politics has dominated the idea of politics with a capital P. And that we're in a world that's in change and in flux and that we can influence and have agency over it. That's changed. You've obviously got, it's very weird because my favourite bit of the media is Private Eye, which is Ian Hislop, which is, hardly a hoary-handed son of the soil. But I mean, I think what's interesting is the idea of holding people to account is something which Hislop takes very seriously. And I suppose he inherits it from Swift, who was a conservative, really. Jonathan Swift was a conservative, despite the fact that his book were absolutely scathing of humanity's behaviour and the class system. So it has changed, but there is a resounding lack of politics that's happening, and so it happens within a kind of a smaller world, if you like. And it's very funny being someone walking out into that bigger world and going, "Here we go, everyone, we're talking about this."
Yeah, yeah.
I like it. It means you get into fights.
Now it's a good time to wrap up and thank Mark for switching his phone
great.
on
It's
in
an
bed.
absolute delight to see the pair of you.
Yeah,
And
it's brilliant, mate.
I love you,
Thank
man.
you.
And thank you for asking. I'll see you
That's all
soon.
right.
See you later, mate.
All right. Bye-bye.
I'll put your pants on.
Don't do it. Don't change.
Take care, my loves.
Okay, that was Mark Thomas talking to us there. Fantastic interview.
Don't forget he had no pants on.
How could I? Yeah.
How can we ever forget that?
So I think people listening to this might be feeling, oh, I've missed out on something here.
Yeah, rest assured, there's no other footage. But there's no other footage there.
It might encourage you to watch the YouTube offering to see if you can catch a glimpse of Thomas's Thomas.
Yeah, it was great to have him on.
So, as always, at the end of the show, we will do our pleadings. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe, tell your friends, follow us. You can also send us emails with suggestions. Emails should be in the listing for this show. Wherever you find it, it should be there. Any other stuff you want to tell us about, comedians or promoters you'd like us to talk to, please contact us. For those of you that also would like to send us any offerings, I think you've got Ko-fi, haven't you, Steve? That's also
I have, yeah.
in the description. And I have a joke pit thing. You can send me money, and you can just send me the money, and I'll pass it on to Steve.
Hey, by the way, you can, if it's Joke Pit, they can also leave some reviews if they want.
Yes, indeed. I've recently got my first one from Joke Pit. 5 stars.
I got a 5-star review for one gig, and for the same gig, I got 3 stars. So you can't please everybody, can you?
No, you can't. Not everyone's going to love you. That is what I live my life by.
Yes. That's why you become a comedian in the first place. You want everyone to love you.
Mm. Did we mention the election result in that interview? And
he did. He mentioned when he was playing Bury Metro Arts Centre.
Yes,
said
he did.
That, it was the night of the election. So yeah, as someone who was it said? Events, dear boy, events. Who actually said that? Was it Harold Wilson?
Sounds like Macmillan, doesn't it? Yeah, if it's dear boy.
Yes. Yeah, Wilson would have said that, would he?
Yeah, Alexander Douglas Hume, the forgotten Prime Minister.
Please email us and tell us who said that quote.
Yeah.
Should have done our research, shouldn't we? Oh,
no, let the audience do it for us. It's cheaper. So we'll see you in another couple of weeks' time, and enjoy the Labour government, I suppose.
They said you should have been here last week. I swear you should have been here last week.